If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. The sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special pack tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Well, welcome everyone to Deep Dive, where we dive deep into geocaching topics. Each episode features in-depth discussions and aims to provide a deeper understanding and appreciation of geocaching and to inspire listeners to explore new aspects of our great sport. And tonight we're joined by, of course, the power trail man himself.
Oh yeah, that's me. I have done some, but I definitely have not. That is not my biggest part of caching for sure.
And the chronically tired power trail mom. Thanks for being here.
Oh, no problem.
This will be good. Get some different perspectives on this. Tonight is giveaway will be #trail. So put that in the chat, and you will be entered to win. So we've got lots of cool stuff. We'll show them at the end of the show tonight. And there you go. So one thing we want to do is we need to do a little bit of definition, you two, with what is a unique power trail, because tonight's about unique power trails. So I have a few definitions, and I want you guys to let me know
So
what you think of these.
Before you define unique power trail, we probably need to define standard power trail.
Yes. So a power trail, by definition that I found online, is the following. You tell me if you think this is a decent definition.
Okay.
A geocaching power trail is a series of geocaches placed in relative close proximity along a specific route, often with the goal of finding multiple caches in a single outing. I noticed you put in there also it can be of all cache types.
Yeah. So I would say your standard power trail is unknown caches, right? Puzzle caches, because they're the easiest to do. That's your your most common one, and they're as close to 528 feet apart as you can possibly squeeze them in for most people, because you're maximizing the most you can find, and they're typically very easy cache finds. That's the other part I would say, because the whole point of a power trail is to get as many caches as you can in the shortest period of time possible. For a standard power trail, without any changes to it. Yeah,
exactly. The one you've done, we were talking about before the show, Lanisa, you were saying you think you've done 3, is that right?
Yes. 2 I did. Oh, it's been 10 years ago. One was just a regular power trail, get out, stop signs. Second one was what I consider a unique power trail, and Jesse was talking about it too. He actually jogged my memory on it. Was kayaking. About 6 miles down a river. I can't remember how many there were, but there were a lot. Every 520 feet, 28 feet, stop at the the tree. Yeah, try not to tip over and get. But we did it as an event, so it was fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's definitely more unique for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That is definitely Well, we'll talk about tonight, but I guess we consider the letterbox hybrid trail we did, Jesse, is unique, and it's all letterboxes.
Maybe.
not really?
I would say it's not as unique as like kayaking, right? Because you can do power trails can be any cache type. There's ones that lend themselves easier to it, right? Like unknown mystery caches. They're the easiest ones to do because you can, move them all around. The pin doesn't have to be there. Probably the second easiest. Go to the other end, the hardest. The hardest is probably multis because there's 2 stages, right? And there are ways to do them. You can do them, but I've seen them of every type. Multis, traditionals, probably really one of the hardest. Because that's spot on. Where it goes, you definitely see a few of those. Letterboxes, if they were true letterbox hybrids, it would be harder, right? What we did was not. It was just
not.
Some of them had stamps in them, some didn't. There
was
wasn't like any, start here, walk a certain direction. It wasn't that kind of letterbox. It was just power trail letterboxes. And then, you would never have a virtual one, or technically you could have an Earth Cache one, but we haven't seen that go really well. They're not supposed to be made for power trails, right? But I would say you could do any cache type. I would say the cache type alone nowadays doesn't make it unique because there are a bunch of them out there like that.
Yeah. So let's come back. Let's come back to power trails. We kind of now define power trail. Want to talk about a couple other items, and really not for tonight. A lot of these that's for another show discussions. But I wanted to we want to at least mention them because a lot of people we have people all over the world listening and watching, and we have people of all varying geocaching sport levels of where they're at. So Geo Tour, we won't talk about tonight. Geo Tours are very specific in that Geo Tours are copyrighted, registered trademark of geocaching.com. You purchase Geo Tours for a good chunk of money, in my opinion. they're of varying qualities. We'll have to talk about GeoTours someday. Some are good, some are bad, but GeoTour has a registered trademark. They are different. They are sort of in their own category. We're not going to talk about tonight. Varying lengths, even of size, because you've got the like HQ's GeoTour is now very small. It's right basically in the heart of Seattle. It's, much easier to do. Then you've got like something like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of the Santa Fe Trail. The one that goes from Kansas all the way to Mexico. I mean, it's this enormous GeoTour, but it's enormous. But anyway,
but definitely different than a power trail.
Yeah, that's a completely unique animal.
Yeah.
It can have some uniqueness. Shouldn't say uniqueness. Has some similarities to power trails at times, but it's
and then it's a group of caches. Yeah. But the goal of a GeoTour is definitely not to get the most caches you can in the shortest amount of time. It's generally to highlight an area sponsored by some kind of visitors bureau or something like that. So they actually is the opposite of a power trail, and that they want you to slow down and check things out.
Yeah, they want you to stay in the area.
For you to slow down and check things out.
Spend some money in their community,
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. In some, exactly, Anissa. Some of them are actually designed so that you get points for staying nights. The one I did in Rockport, you got points for food, you got points for hotel stays. So it's the opposite. It's the anti-power trail in a sense. Geo Trail, a series of caches in an area by a cache owner or group of cachers, or could be some caches that can be done while in an area. These are caches designed to be done within a certain area. It may or not have a theme. It can be done together, for like if you're doing caching in an area and you want to do the Geo Trail as part of the trail. And people are like, what? I'll give you a couple examples and maybe that'll help bring the definition into focus. The JFK Assassination Trail in Dallas is a geo trail. It's not really sponsored. It has owners of it, and they will provide, if you complete it and you mail in the passport. Usually I'll have passports with trails, geo trails. You send the passport in, you get a path tag or a coin, and this one in particular was very, very well themed. In that most of the locations of the geo trail,
right,
are very well themed. It's Officer Tippett, who Oswald shot while he was on the run. You go to his gravesite. There's a cache there, and so it's kind of cool to pay respects to that. You go to the theater where Oswald ran to. Then you've got stuff like you go to Love Field. Well, that's a stretch. I mean, the definition of it in the trail is that, well, that's where JFK flew into. And it's like, yeah, it fits, but it's not really. I mean, it fits. I don't mind them doing something like that because it makes it really, brought the theme fully together, and they wanted to get as many caches in this grouping. So anyway, that's a geo trail. Another one.
But you're not meant to speed through that though, right? You're supposed to go to all the locations and notice what's there. It's all historical places, stuff like that. So definitely different than a power trail, and it's not an official geo tour, so that fits in that third category.
Yeah.
I would say it's a smaller grouping of themed caches, generally by one person or one group.
Yeah, and Scott's done that one. I've done that one too. So he was right. It's the best researched one. Another one I wanted to bring up before we get into unique power trails. One of them that I think is another really cool geo trail that I really highly recommend is in Oklahoma, and it's a barn quilt. And there's information in the show notes, but the barn quilt geo trail, it's Blackwell, City of Blackwell sponsors it, so it's almost like a geo tour without being a tour, if that makes
it's an unofficial tour.
Yeah, but it's cool in the fact you got all these. So the uniqueness is that these barns all around the area have a barn quilt design on the side of the barn. It's a quilt design.
Yeah.
So it's a giant barn quilt on the side of the barn. Is that the one
we did? We did the one with the wagon out front. It had the barn quilt design on it, and then had a wagon. It was an ammo can with a wagon, and me and you got that one.
Yeah. I think that was part
of that trail.
It might be on that trail, but
okay.
Yeah, there are and this is again. I mean, it works good for. I mean, this one's obviously for tourism purposes, which is great.
Right.
There are 40 or listed 40, but it very much follows a geo tour in that you get points. You get 2 points per meal in a restaurant, 3 points for a hotel stay, so much for shopping, and then at the end there's a coin for if you have to get 30 geo trail caches or a point per cache, and you need to collect 40 or more total points to earn the trackable geo coin. So anyway,
that is a lot to keep up with for whoever's managing that.
Yeah,
that's just a lot.
It
sounds like a good thing, right? It helps tourism in the area, but that's a lot to keep up with.
Yeah, it is. But they have determined, I guess, it's worth it to do, to spend some money on something like that. I don't know. There's probably lots of these. Now, the other one that we want to mention before we get back into the unique power trails is geo art.
Yes.
Because a lot of people, when you say power trail, for many, the first thing they think of is geo art, because many geo arts, and I don't know, this would be a lot of research, but I wonder, Jesse, how many of the GeoArts in the world, A, how many are there, and B, I did post a link to a location that has a lot of GeoArts listed, but I wonder how many of them are mystery, or I guess you could do where I go.
You can do for GeoArt. You can do anything.
Right, but I'm wondering.
Not Earth Cache. Let's take that one out in virtuals, but
yeah, but I'm wondering how many of them. Go ahead.
How many are which? I don't even think I've looked on Facebook and stuff like that, and I know there's a bunch of collections and groups keeping up with GeoArts. Like there's whole groups just for GeoArts, but it changes all the time. So I don't know that there's ever going to be a comprehensive list of all the GeoArts out there, enough to get data from.
Right, but I'm wondering how many of them are. You go down like Lenisa, you said y'all did one. I mean, it was a combination of roads, but basically it made a what did we call that creature?
Goofy? Kirby.
No.
Kirby, and I thought it was Pokemon, but evidently it is not. I did nothing.
It's some kind of video game from like the 80s or 90s, I think.
Okay.
It looks like a beanbag chair with eyes.
It's pink. Yeah, so that's what we did. Yeah.
There you go.
So
somebody in the chat room will tell us what the Kirby is.
I don't know.
But
see, that's Kirby. Can you tell us Kirby?
Yeah, that's him.
Wait, hang on, let me see it. There you go,
so
Kirby.
That's what we did, Kirby.
But
and we did that with the group, and it was a lot of fun. I wouldn't want to do that kind of thing all the time.
No, you're right, and that's exactly that's something that we talked about beforehand, which is a lot of these. I think, at least for us, the three of us would definitely want to do these. We're little social. We want to.
Yeah.
We want to as I put before the show. We want a party cache.
That's right.
We want
it's a group activity for sure. GeoArt is definitely a group activity.
Oh, from Mario? Okay, thank you.
Really?
Kirby from Mario.
Okay.
Well, I thought you knew Mario. I guess I don't.
The crossover here is a GeoArt can be a GeoArt, and like there's some of them that are out there in their traditional caches, and they are in the spot that the pin has on the map, right? And it's out in a big field, and it draws and has a picture. That is not a power trail. However,
go ahead. We'll talk about that in a minute. We have a question.
Yeah. However, a typical power trail, GeoArt sometimes looks like a shape, but then when you solve them all wherever they are, they're just straight down a road.
Yeah.
So that's more like your typical high-speed power trail. So a GeoArt can be a power trail, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of a question when SSG Irish Flea. So a power trail excludes roads. Doesn't have to exclude roads.
No, a power trail can be on the road. It can be. There's ones that you do by bicycle. There's ones that you do, like we talked about, by kayak.
Yeah,
you can do a walking power trail. It's not going to be 1,000 of them probably if you're doing it, but a power trail can be anywhere. It's just designed to be as fast as it can. It's not really highlighting unique caches. It's go and get as many numbers as you can at one time.
I think there's. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You mentioned bike. I have just started just yesterday. I biked 4 miles, starting a power. I didn't think put two and two together as a power trail because it's kind of broken up, but it's like, oh goodness, probably about 50 to 75 caches, themed caches too. I mean, it's called junk food.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I lied. I guess I am doing a 4th power trail.
Well,
I didn't even know it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I'm just starting it. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Well, unique power trails again. We'll get into one second. Let's wrap up on GeoArt. GeoArt, I think, for the most part, is just there are a few where they literally do make the design on the ground.
Yes,
but they're more rare than the 528 feet. And then when you're done, when you look at the map, it looks like a star.
And that would be harder to get. It would not be a quick. You'd be walking most of that, right? Because it'll be through open fields and
You'd be hiking. Yeah, there'd be a lot of hiking and walking,
hiking.
depending on the design. Yeah, I mean, those would be very rare, and it would take you a lot longer to do.
So we knew this question was going to come up, and what quantity constitutes a power trail?
Did I just ask that question a little while ago?
Yeah. So I'll give my answer, and we'll see what y'all say. I don't think there is a definite number. I think it's a bunch of caches. Like some people say, like 10 could be a power trail. When I'm thinking a power trail, just in my head, I'm thinking 100, 50, 100, or way more than that. 10 to me is just like a geo trail. It's a cache you can do 10 in a day easy. You typically don't do 50 or 100 in a day unless you're doing a power trail or just killing it, morning to night. So I would say something that's more than you typically be able to do in that short period of time.
Yep. Apparently we're raising our grandson well because he's watching tonight. So
I don't know. He's also missing college football right now, so I don't know if you raised him well or not.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm raising him right or not, but yeah, he's much older than that photo. But yeah, that's CJ. He's in the other room. He came to visit, not on his own. We went and picked him up, so he wasn't wandering the streets. So don't worry about it, people. All right, so let's talk about some unique power trails because these are not geo trails in the sense that they're not labeled that way. They're very unique. And so that's what we're going to talk about. Unique power trails. One of them we want to kind of, I wouldn't say get out of the way, but we'll talk about first, which is ET Highway. That is a power trail.
Been around for a long time.
Yeah. But what's interesting is, as Scott said, ET Highway was all of roads. It's miles and miles of roads.
Yeah, they're all they're right off the edge of the road, I believe, right? And we haven't done that one yet. None of us.
No.
You haven't done it, have you, Lisa?
No.
You haven't done ET? No. Okay. One day, we'll do a big geocache talk.
One day.
Meet up and we'll go do it.
Yeah, well, now since the government said UFOs are real, I really want to do it.
Now you really want to do it. That's right.
I might spot one.
Yeah, really. We would be right out there.
Yeah.
ET is one of those it's one of the unique things about it is it's been around for so long. It's extremely famous. It is the most famous geo art. Well, there's geo art out there with it, but power trail out there. It's both geo art and power trail, right? And it keeps growing. So if you go back and look at it, people are adding to it, as they go. I don't know what part of it is art. I mean, it goes down so many roads. It kind of looks like a big. No. There's spider. Is there some alien heads and UFO ships?
Oh, is there? Okay.
Everything. Yeah, there's geo art in it for sure.
They're built within it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, built within it.
Because
and there's multiple cache types out there too. So.
Yeah. See, that's the other interesting thing is for a good portion of, for at least a couple, at least 1,000 or more, you do something unique, which is allowed as part of, as part of the ET Highway Power Trail, which is you replace all the containers as you go, which
so that's totally different than most.
Right.
Well, some people do that anyway, but you're not supposed to in most places.
Yeah.
It's a drop and run. It's a throwdown highway is what it is.
It's a weird, right. That's why it's so unique in the fact that you basically start, most people start with a group of 4 or 5 pill containers that already have logs already signed, because you got to keep the ball rolling. And when you get to them, as your driver stops every 528 feet, somebody jumps out, grabs the container on the ground that's near there, throws one on the ground next to it so that they're in the same location, and they get back in the car. And then in the process, somebody else is taking out a container that you've given them. They take it out, they sign it, they put it in the pile and then you basically rotate the whole way down, which is so unique in that sense.
It is. So what's your thoughts on that?
I personally
it's okay
love it.
for them to do it, but a lot of people
Yeah.
do that with every power trail.
Yeah. Yeah, stuff we won't get into tonight, but I think that we've talked about before, you have to define for yourself what you deem as acceptable geocaching and what is not acceptable. For me, it's acceptable for especially for a power trail, to have the driver drive, for safety reasons, because you're stopping and starting every 528 feet. So what's the point of him getting out and all the time?
And as Scott says, on the ET Power Trail, they expect it to be done that way.
They wanted,
I have
it's
no
almost like
problem
they
with that.
want
That's the
you.
owner's one. When some people do that to another one, that's a different conversation. But
yeah.
So again, it's the ethics of it, right? Like if one person's jumping and signing everything, and there's two other people in the car, do you have a problem with that? Does that mean that you went to every cache? There's that whole thing, which we're not even going to get into tonight. That's part of power trails. That's the ethics of power trails are totally different, right?
Yeah, it's really for another show. I mean,
we're not going to even touch on that tonight.
Well, I personally think that. Go ahead. What are you going to say, Lisa?
I just think it cracks me up. Y'all say that so much. That's for another show.
Yeah, if we never said that's for another show, we would have 8-hour shows every night. So.
We'd have, yeah.
Well, I hope every time you say that, you write that down, so you'll have that.
That's where we get all of our lists from.
Yeah.
So we're
okay, so that one's very unique. I've got another one I want to talk about tonight, which is kind of where the impetus for this discussion tonight came from, which is I saw somebody had just completed, again, because there have been very few that have completed this, the Pony Express. It's sort of a challenge too. So we're sort of we're blending in some various things, because although you're finding unique, it has a lot of different aspects to it. It's very much GeoTrail-ish in that at the end of a successful completion of the Pony Express challenge, you get your name on a plaque, which is cool.
That's more GeoTour than Power Trail.
But it's not GeoTour in the fact that HQ is not sponsoring it.
Right. So kind of GeoTrail, GeoTour-ish. Power Trail would just be flying through, right? So. But
this is why I wanted you to be on to discuss.
Okay.
Is it a power trail? And let me explain.
Tell us what it is first.
Yeah, let me define what you do for. Let me explain the Pony Express challenge. And there is a cache at the end. I'll put it in the chat room. You can play along at home. So let me put that in there so you can check that out. So that you can have that as well. So let me pull that up too. So Pony Express follows the Pony Express route that was done back in the day when basically the mail and other things would be done along the Pony Express. Mm-hmm. So mostly for mail purposes is what they had riders, and they had set up this series of mail stops, but it was planned. So they had fresh horses, they had fresh riders, and they would do this trail. It was from St. Joseph, Missouri. That they would go from there to Sacramento, California. And it was usually about a 10-day journey. It's 1,966 miles to deliver mail. And I think they used it also for some other purposes. But they would basically, along the route, that was what they would do. They would take that 10-mile journey. So it was The race against time, elements in a hostile land captured the spirit of Americans, helped hold California for the Union, proved a central overland route was possible. Operators, they said, went broke without a government mail contract, and the telegraph finally replaced the Pony Express after only 18 months of operation, which I think is fascinating. It was only done for that short period of time. So you basically start in Missouri and you end up in California. So you're going to go through, typically you're going to go through Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, Utah, Nevada. There's a list on the one I sent, that one that I sent. Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, Nevada, California. And I think so far there have been 61 who have completed it. Oil Bear 125 and Wall 77 just did it August 11th of this year. And there have been 5 people this year who have completed this task, I guess you could say. So you have to basically complete, and there's a list of acceptable, you must follow, so you have to find 10 caches that qualifying caches for this final challenge cache. Before you can sign the challenge cache, you have to have found 10 that qualify. You must get 1 cache from every state and 2 additional caches along the trail. You have to download a picture of each of your 10 qualifying find logs. Actually, it's optional, but I always love taking photos when you're trying to do something like that. Cache finds must be at the Pony Express station sites or very near one with a memorial, statue, sign, or marker denoting the site as part of the original trail. Colorado and Missouri have limited miles of trails, so they can be the most sought after sites. So there you go. So I mean, that's a long way.
Yeah.
You think ET Highway is long. This is different in that it's not over 528 feet.
You could even do. I wonder if you could do that in a week. I don't know. That's a lot.
Yeah, you could drive through there.
It's a good question.
If you're only getting 10 caches, you can drive cross country in a week easy.
Yeah.
So it's different, right? Because one, there's a lot of things going on with it. The one you mentioned specifically is a challenge, and it's a pre-moratorium challenge, which would probably not be allowed today because you can't give them a specified list unless you give them a bunch of options. Usually, sometimes you get away with it.
So pre-moratorium.
So what they're saying is you got to find these 10 caches, or these 8 caches plus 2 more. You would have trouble doing that unless you said find these 10 from a list of 20 nowadays.
Right. Nowadays, right.
It's a specified list deal.
Yep.
And it's multiple states. So
yes.
Good luck getting that passed nowadays too.
Yeah, that would be tough.
But I wonder if there's got to be adventure labs along the way as well.
Oh yeah, I mean,
got to be, right? Because it's
you could cache your heart's desire.
It wouldn't meet the minimum threshold for Power Trail for me because it's 10 caches.
Correct.
So I would say if I was going to vote on this out of what we've talked about today, one, is it unique? Absolutely. That is absolutely unique. That's tied into a historical event. You get a prize at the end.
Yeah.
It's not an official geo tour, even though it has the feel of a geo tour for sure. I would lean more towards geo trail or just its own special trail. Not even really a geo trail. I don't even call it a geo trail. I think this is it's its own special challenge because after we've talked through it tonight, I definitely don't think Power Trail, but it has elements of all those, but also disqualifiers for all of them as well, right? Like I would say, well, this makes it not one of these and not one of these. I would call this a unique, it's not a challenge trail because that's something else, but wow, it's different. It's unique. I don't know what you would even call this. I wouldn't call it a Power Trail. For sure.
I wouldn't
I'm
call
sure
it
that one. For me, I would not call it a
Yeah.
power trail.
Yeah,
Just
The other
a
ones are
unique
kind of hard, though.
challenge.
it is a
going
neat
across-
challenge.
Unique
Go ahead.
challenge. Going across the states alone is a challenge in of itself. So definitely not a power trail either.
Quincy said, "Is there a bonus for doing? Yeah, I'll buy you a coin if you do it.
Yeah.
I'll just make a coin for it if you do it.
Yeah,
That would be the
I'll
coolest thing
forge
I've
it.
ever heard of.
That's a good
I'll forge
idea.
I'll forge a coin.
Yeah, we'll
with my
make an
bare
old
hands
school
for that.
coin like.
Yeah, I'll get out the metal and
so-
I'll make one for you.
I don't know, Lanisa. What do you think? If you had to fit it in one of those categories, what would you put it in? It doesn't really fit any of those. It's kind of unique.
To me, it's not a power trail. It's not even a geo trail. I would just say a unique challenge in and of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very
so here's
different.
another one that would be like that. The Cache Across America series. Not the same concept, but similar in that it wouldn't fit in any of the major categories,
Right.
but it would be more closely related to this one than anything else.
Yeah. So, you know, and that's another
Yeah.
another one. KC11's mentioning that we really that's for another show as well, which is when adventure labs basically become power trails, which I know they're getting away from.
Oh,
Yeah.
adventure.
We didn't even
That's a good
think
one.
about that. We didn't even talk about adventure labs being power trails.
Yeah, I like
That's a whole
Julie.
different
Julie put
animal.
adventure trail. That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's sort of. It kind of is, but
Not
I know
even
they
a
wa-
trail like a jaunt because it's just 10 caches, but it is.
Well, no, when you
across a lot
string a bunch of them
states.
together,
yeah,
like
yeah.
KC11 maybe able to tell us. I think he was instrumental on the Lincoln Highway. If I've
Yeah.
got my facts straight in my head.
yeah, he did. KC11
that
was
one's
Lincoln
A
Highway.
lot. That one's a lot of. It's not just 10.
Yeah.
It's. I think it's like 200 different stops. Or
Oh
way
my
more.
gosh,
I'm going to be totally off because my brain's not
It's a
on that right now,
ton.
but
Yeah, well, it's
he
like
can
Route
tell us what it is. I
66.
know it's a ton because I put 10
Yeah.
on there myself. I got to be involved in that and put 10 on there myself. So
Yeah,
there was a lot of people involved in that one.
they're adventure trails of note. As Scott says, we can't call them power trails. They aren't really power trails because they're not.
Why not?
I mean, I guess they are, but to me, a power trail. Oh, he goes. There you go. 133
113
labs.
labs, over 1,000 stops.
Wow.
Hot dog. Man.
1,000 caches. That's how is that not a power trail? Well, that one's a little different because that one's not every 528 feet, right?
Right.
So it is a huge amount of caches, but it covers a long distance. It's not like
Yes.
telephone pole to telephone pole, right? It's not every
Right.
third telephone pole. So now, could you have a power trail of labs? I don't know why they would let it happen, but you could, right? If people just got together and decided, I'm going to put mine all down this road, and we have 50 people with 10 each,
Well,
you got
go-
500 of them, that'd be a power trail, right?
You go to Gilby. You could probably do 100 caches in Gilby in a few minutes.
But that's just going all over the place. That's not necessarily.
No, they're not lined up per se.
Yeah, so a string of adventure labs would be a power trail by definition, since each stop is a find. I've got to agree with that.
Yeah.
Right now, I think that's definitely stretching what adventure labs are supposed to be by doing that. But it is what it is, right? They're supposed to be unique locations and everything else. They're not supposed to be telephone pole. But I think you could do it. Route
Yeah,
66, 846 locations with 3.5 miles between locations and 35 miles per adventure lab. So there's a ton of them, but it's not like every 528 feet.
Yeah. And Yvette mentions that you got some of the similar up in Canada, the Trans Canada, going from coast to coast, Adventure Labs series of growth.
Here's what.
Yeah.
For another show, not for this show. For another show, I would love to interview somebody or some people that only do lab caches. That like started during the labs, may only do lab caches totally, and that's all their finds are lab caches.
All their finds are lab caches.
That would be.
Yeah.
I want to talk to that person or people because that's got to be. Are they a geocacher?
Ooh, whoa!
Well, I enjoy lab caches, but not a whole lot. Not enough. That's the only thing you do.
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
but if somebody did that, I would have no problem with that. Would you?
By definition,
Well, to
they
each his
found
own.
geocaches. Is an
Here's
adventure
the
lab a
thing.
geocache?
They could have 1,000 geocaches. They would have nothing on their map, nothing on their DT grid. That would be awesome. Nothing on their size grid. That would be so cool. Their stats would be so jacked up. They would not
would
have
be.
no milestones. They would have
No.
0 on their milestones. That would be awesome.
But they'd have
Oh,
1,000.
Please, that person has to be out there. Please, person, please contact us. We want to interview you. I just want to see your stats.
That would
Whatever
be
floats your boat, I guess.
wild. Because you don't get credit for finding a state, right? They'd have no states.
souvenirs.
They'd have
You have nothing.
no souvenirs. Yeah.
What would you
have a
label
slot.
that person?
It would say your biggest. How would that even work? Because like your biggest streak and your biggest slump, none of those are going to count.
But it shows that you find 1,000. It was right. It shows that you found 1,000.
I'm opening a new account this weekend. I'm going to go find some lab caches.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see what that's going to do.
But they
I wanna
are
see the stats on
easier.
Okay,
You
Eminem
know.
from M said he's going to do it. Please do it.
I want to see it.
Somebody open up an account and just find 20, 30 labs or whatever. And I want to see what that stat sheet looks like. That's going to be crazy.
What would the one icon be?
Labs, the only one. Lab counts as an icon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah. I
You'd have
was
one
thinking
icon.
souvenirs. When he said icon, I was thinking, yeah, so you had to have one icon. But yeah, no, you're right. I was thinking souvenir when Sparky
But
said.
think about your statistics. So DT would be nothing. Your maps would be nothing. Your milestones would be nothing. Your find rate would be 0. Streak and slump would be 0. Everything would be zeros. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I guess
in
theory.
Yeah, you do need a geocaching account.
Do you? Okay.
Because
would never have
it's
to
tied in.
You don't have to log in. I had somebody. If I can I get my soapbox? Have I done this show long enough? I can get my soapbox for 2 seconds.
Oh
think.
gosh, we're already way off topic. But go ahead.
I know. Real quick. So I have a very unique, permitted to have on this location because it's a sign. It's a fencing sign. It's for like a fencing company.
Yeah. I know the one you're talking about.
Chad made it for me, Bounce, and it is so cool because it looks so legit. Greenville Fencing Company. I mean, he put a lot of work into that thing, and it's got a container. It's got a spot in the back. You pull it out, and you get the container. Everybody has loved this thing, and I got somebody the other day who was like, because I use the term good fun cache because it's geocaching fence company, GFC.
Yeah.
So I call it a good fun cache. And this person went off on how it was not fun at all. I'm thinking, you have got no idea what you're talking about. So I went and looked. They've got like 7 finds and they've never logged in their life. So I don't get too hung up on this, but I'm just thinking, oh my. Do you have
Some
any
people
idea
just
what
have
you
a bad day, right? I mean,
Oh.
it's the same thing we always talk about. Like you'll go to an amazing, the most amazing cache you've ever seen, and it'll have like 70% favorite points. Like that means 30% of the people were not impressed with that cache, and you're like,
Right.
that doesn't make any sense.
Man.
How is it
Like
possible?
how, it's like in a rocket ship. They built a rocket ship, and you're like, yeah, same thing. I always find these. I find these every day. Okay.
Yeah, Grand Canyon.
Some people you can't please no matter what. No.
I tell you.
I believe it would give you, hold on. Shrek 2 says, I believe it would give you milestones. I got a milestone on an adventure lab. I didn't think it would, but if it counts, I guess it would, because it's like you're,
Yeah,
Okay.
if you get to 1,000.
We're going to have to do a whole show on this again just to see how much your stats would be weird. So we're going to have to, we need some people to not make fake accounts. Sign your dog up. It's a free account.
Sign your dog up.
And just find a bunch of lab caches and let's see what we can do with it now.
I think you're excited about this idea.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do fun with it. Yeah.
It'll be cool.
Just because
Anyway.
I want to see a whole account that just says nothing.
So
I found a bunch of them, but I've got other stuff in there, so it messes it up.
try to rein this. Try to get the
Back
cowboy. Try to rein this Pony Express cowboy back in.
It's derailed.
It has in a sense, a passport because you got to find these 10. But in a sense, it's also, it really is a challenge. It's just the one I mentioned, the GC1 PRHM, is basically it's a challenge cache.
Yes. So, but it has the passport. So I think to me that's more than just a standard grouping of caches or a challenge. I think it's more like a geo trail in that sense, not a geo tour because that'd be official, but a geo trail. When we think about those, they don't even have to have passports, but some of them do have a passport, and some of the owners are doing coins for it and stuff.
Yep.
But you generally think of those as something you could do at one time or in one general geographic location, and this is definitely not that. This is multiple states, right?
Right. So what would you determine? I'll find in the book, by the way. Books for sale. 501 geocaches to find before you died.
There you go.
Cheesy.
So another person did confirm that
you can.
Lab,
okay.
A favorite of mine, have a few milestones that say lab cache. So lab milestones would work.
Let me ask you about this cache. Oh gosh, so many states. It's in Minnesota, Massachusetts.
See, that's this thing. This one's in multiple states, so I don't know that it qualifies for any of the standard categories.
All right, GC48CR5, Massachusetts 351 challenge.
Oh, for all the is it parishes?
I think you get.
Towns?
I think you get something. Somebody have come wrong. I think you get something if you complete this.
Is that one still active?
Yeah, pull that one up. GC. What did I say? GC.
I don't know.
GC 48CR5. GC 48CR5.
So the Massachusetts 351 challenge. That's the towns, isn't it? The one for the towns.
Yeah, you have to find a cache in every town.
Yeah,
and there's
which obviously would be
towns.
That's big time pre-moratorium. They wouldn't do that nowadays. But
they wouldn't let you do that. Okay.
Well, town is not a geographical location.
Gotcha.
Identified by Project GC, right? So.
Yeah, it is obviously. Yeah, like you said, pre-moratorium. It's a challenge, but you get something. I think maybe not.
So I would say that one's just your standard challenge. I mean, standard. Obviously, it's super hard. Don't get me wrong with that, right? But
this one says lab caches don't qualify either.
Oh, for this one, the Master one.
Yeah, lab caches.
Okay, let's theorize for a moment. Let's just say for this one, because I'm trying to nail this kind of idea down, which is, let's say you do complete this one. It's unique in many respects because you have to find one every town. So it doesn't matter what you have to, you can't find, it can't be an event, can't be a location list, which they don't have anymore, and it can't be a lab cache. But let's say at the end you were to get, you fill out a passport and you get a coin at the end. Would that be considered a power trail?
No. Power trail is maximizing. That's not fast. Power trail out of all these other ones, that's maximum. That's every 528 feet. The whole goal of a power trail is to maximize the amount of cash you can find. This is the opposite of that. Now, it's not a geo tour. I don't know if it's a geo trail.
Not official.
It's not an official group of caches, right? You can find any cache in those towns. So this is a whole nother category. I mean, it's maybe a challenge series. And this is really just a challenge because it's not like, so your Pony Express one, those were identified caches. Find these 10 caches. That's all by, a certain, that's a dedicated list.
Right.
That's where this is different than this, like the Massachusetts 351, because you can find any caches for those 351 as long as they're in those towns, right?
Right.
They could be any cache, other than the exceptions, events and stuff like that. So this one is still different than the Pony Express because the Pony Express is you got to find this dedicated list of caches, basically is what it's saying. This is just like a regular challenge. If you find a cache in any of these towns, you qualify for this challenge.
You do get a path tag. apparently.
And it's a challenge with a bonus, right? With a path tag bonus. But there's no specific list of caches you have to find.
Could it be then just really determined as a geo trail? It's a weird trail. Well,
I don't think so, because it's not a geo trail is typically one group or owner of specified caches, right? This is any cache.
Like the JFK.
Yes, JFK.
It's
perfect
themed.
example.
It's a geo trail. The reason that let me see if you two agree with what I'm about to say.
Okay.
The reason that the JFK 50, the JFK Geo Trail is a geo trail is because it is themed. It's unique, but it's a geo trail. It's themed. It's themed. It's a certain location, so technically it's kind of like a trail. It can be done in either 1 day or 2 days. But it's not a power trail, it's a geo trail. I don't know.
Right. But no, I think you're spot on, except in general for a geo trail, one is a specified list, can be done in a day, generally by the same people or group of people. It was all done as an effort to go together theme.
Specified list,
and
right.
A lot of times there's an incentive for finishing the whole geo trail. There may not be, but a lot of times there is, like you get a path tag or coin or your name on the website or something, there's some kind of incentive to go and do all of those, like a geo tour, but not sponsored. Otherwise, you would just pick out, I'll do some of these or not. They're trying to get you to do every one in the series. They want to draw attention to that, so they have some kind of incentive for it.
Right.
Not everybody can afford to give a coin away to everybody. Not everybody can afford to give path tags away, right? It may just be mentioned on the website or a digital souvenir or something like that. It could be a lot of those things. But I think there has to be something that ties it together to make it a geo trail, which I don't think your other one fits into that, because you can't do that in a day at all.
What about what Gary's saying here? I completed GeoArt with 130 puzzle caches spread along one hiking trail, 52 miles long, hike, bike, horse-only trail, published in 2012, and only 8 have finished it. One trail, not power.
Yeah, definitely not a power trail if it's 52 miles long, right? That's kind of the opposite of a power trail.
Yeah.
As a trail, you could call it a geo trail, GeoArt. It'd fit into both of those categories. GeoArt, obviously it's GeoArt. He said it was, but could you call that a geo trail? Yeah. It's a hard one, but you can go 52 miles on a horse in a day. I think. Is that right? I don't know. I don't ride horses.
That's a lot of miles, even for a horse.
Okay. If you had an electric bicycle, you could do 52 miles in a day pretty easy then.
Sure.
So you can finish that in a day, because I'm assuming there's no car if it's on a hiking trail.
Because he said, hiking, biking, horse trail.
You're not going to generally hike 52 miles in a day, but I would say in general that falls closest to the category of geo trail outside of the GeoArt. We already know it's a GeoArt, so
K-Blast says, I have a challenge that you find a cache in cities all around Ohio. It's purely a challenge cache. I can't imagine calling it a geo trail. What would make here's another twist on that, though, is how could you make K-Blast challenge cache into a geo trail?
In a general area and it's specified caches.
Okay.
So he says you can find any caches in those towns, right? So that's just a challenge series or whatever. Now, if it was like, and you were able to get away with it, find these 10 caches, and like you have a bonus cache at the end, or a challenge to find these 10. If you could specify those nowadays, you can put that into a geo trail.
I think something like the Oklahoma barn quilt, where the quilts are on the sides of the barn. Those are specific. They're not just any. You have to find the specific.
Yeah.
You have to find specific ones. I think that's why, to me, it becomes a unique geo trail. The fact that it's a little bit different, but geo trail in that you get something at the end. I think that's kind of key. I think for a geo trail is that you get either a path tag or something. But I think I like the fact that what you're saying is it's a very specific list. You have to do this list and no other. These ones
in general, right? I'm sure there's some exceptions. We could all come up with exceptions, but if we're coming
yeah.
up with just general definitions, I think those are pretty much what we'd all agree on is a general definition for those is what we talked about. There's always going to be crossover between the two, and some things will fit into multiple categories.
Right.
And then like the one you're talking about, whole separate deal, the Massachusetts 351, that's just a challenge and a challenge series, right? Because there's no specified. That's something totally different. That's like calling the Texas Challenge a geo trail. No, no.
It's not.
It is definitely not a power trail either. It takes weeks and months to do that.
Power trails and geo trails have a sense of organization to it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not an unspecified list. Yeah. Now, could we come up with 10 more categories of things that are out there? Of course. But these are the main ones we're talking about, right? And I don't think, after it's all said and done, I don't think the one that you came up with, the Pony Express, I don't think it fits into any of them. I think it's its own unique thing.
If you had to stick it in a category, I think you would put it in Geo Trail. It's not a power trail, which we defined because a power trail, I think we've really determined fully tonight is that power trail by definition is let's find a bunch of caches in a row.
Fast as possible. Yeah.
As fast as possible.
Yeah. So it doesn't fit in a power trail.
No, it doesn't fit power trail. Not Geo Tour because got to pay money for Geo Tours.
So it really fits.
Nope. It's not making a Kirby or whatever.
Yeah, there's all kinds of art out there too, but
there is.
The closest would be a Geo Trail because it does have the special bonus at the end. It's a specific list. I believe it's all by the same group anyway. It's themed.
Yeah. Yep.
My only thing that would kick it out of there for me is the fact that it's across 1,000 miles, whatever it's across.
Yeah, it's crazy. But there's the
you can't do it all at one time, so it's more like the Cache Across America series or something like that, where specific list of caches in a whole different locations.
Very similar to the Santa Fe one, the Santa Fe Trail. That's a sponsored one. But if it wasn't sponsored, if the Santa Fe one wasn't sponsored, it would fall into the Geo Trail because you get something at the end. Go ahead.
A Geo Tour, when it runs out of funding, becomes a Geo Trail.
Geo Trail, yeah.
Let's be honest. When a Geo Tour dies, it's a Geo Trail, but still some caches are still out there.
Yeah,
it's just an unfunded Geo Tour at that point.
Yeah, or less funded, depending on what they do with them. Yeah, I know. Depending on how they.
As some people have said, these definitions weren't to make fun of anything. These definitions are just showing the difference and stuff. And the cool thing about it, like with the joke that we're joking around about the labs and everything else, is that you could just do one of these as your only way to cache. You could only do geo arts. You could only do power trails. You could only do all those, and still probably some people would have a lot of fun for many, many years. So it's just all different ways of caching. Like we're always trying to bring out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so this was good. Everybody who hasn't yet put in the hashtag trail into the chat room, and we're about to draw for a winner. And I need to pull up. Got a few that have maxed out for the year.
Well, you stumped us tonight, I think. Anyway,
I found it interesting.
The Pony Express definitely doesn't fit any of our main normal categories. So
it kind of doesn't.
It's unique for sure.
It is very unique. I'd love to do it one day. I'd love to do it. We were talking about before. Mm-hmm. I'd love to do it with people because I wouldn't do it by myself. Probably not. But I would want to do it with a group because I love to party cache, and I would want. I'd love to do it as one long road trip. Just rent a car like Jesse and
it would take a long time because there's a lot to stop and see along that way.
You'd have to get. You'd want to have. What's your friend's name? Why am I drawing a blank?
Barry.
You have to have your own Barry. That's yours. Find your own Barry.
No, but now that's been thrown out there, you got to do it by horseback now.
Yeah, really. I still got some. Speaking of Pony Express, seeing probably some bison on the road. I got bison.
There you go.
I do have one gadget I think left. I've got some more of the geocaching with kids, and I got a few more of the our old
That's the newest.
It's our newest, oldest. Yeah, it's our
Oldest.
newest.
Okay.
It's the newest. The green one has been gone for years. I think it's worth like $10,000 or $12,000 now if you find one. So just, if you find one at GeoCoin Fest, make sure you buy it. Yeah, the going rate's somewhere around that. So they're very rare. I got one up on the wall here.
And if you believe that, just Venmo me. I'll get you one. Don't worry.
You'll sell yours.
Yeah. I will sell. I will do that for you. I will sell that thing for you.
Yeah.
I'll even give you a 10% discount. If you Venmo me by midnight, I'll give you a 10% discount.
They are unique in the fact that we did it and we never made more of them. So it's kind of crazy. There it is. Trying to find the tool. So we've got everybody entered. Oh, add to stream. All right. I'm going to push the button. Hope everybody's ready for the winner. Push the button, and here we go. Big money,
Big money,
no whammies. No whammies. Here we go. I just pushed the button, and there it goes. We'll see who wins. It's spinning. It's spinning. Who will it be tonight? Who will it be tonight? M. There's a short word. There's a
I like that one.
So
tell M how they collect their prize.
I guess there could only be one M. So M, you need to email us at geocachetalk@gmail.com, and we will get you in, figure out which one you would like, get your mailing address, and we will mail you a coin. And there you go. So thanks you two. That was a lot of fun, and it has hopefully. Did we clear anything up?
Absolutely not.
Maybe.
No.
No, but it was fun anyway.
Yeah.
I think we kind of cleared it up.
That your cache, that your whatever you call it, that you brought at the Pony Express, does not fit in any of our normal definitions.
Yeah.
And there's probably a dozen other ones that people could come up with right now that are just series out there that don't fit any of these definitions or any unique. That's the cool thing about it is just when you think you've seen everything in geocaching, something brand new comes out.
Something comes up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Clear as mud. Thanks, Drake.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. That's not true. We got. See, we gave some new goals. Nicole has new goals. So there you go.
Perfect.
Oh, there you go.
All right. M's there. She got it. He or she, whoever it is.
He, she, they, them.
M is very mysterious. They need to explain.
That's right.
Yeah. It's sort of like 007.
That's right.
So cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you guys. Sunday is Challenge Talk, so don't forget. Don't miss that, and we'll see you next week or see Sunday. Good night, everybody.
Night.